The Wolfman, ALFRED, with queer money. Hit like and subscribe because you heard about me. Hey. Good afternoon, you guys. Welcome back to the Alpha Platform. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Queer Money. Today I just want to come on with no script, really no agenda, and just give a heart to heart. Shit is getting crazy out here. That's the only way I can explain it. The cost of living is insane. It's absolutely insane. You know, last year I worked a ton. I had multiple streams of income, and I was making close to $170,000 a year, minus taxes and whatnot. So that was really good money, but it came with a ton of stress. Panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and whatnot. And you know, this year I told myself I'm not gonna do that anymore. So I reduced what I was doing, and you know that resulted in half of my income being gone. But I'm still making very good money for where I live at today. I'm still making way more than the average salary, than the average man today. And however, it still feels like it's not enough. I was speaking to my husband the other day, and we went to the grocery store just to get groceries, and we bought about 50 items. I think about 57 items to be exact. We don't buy really expensive items. We typically just buy vegetables, fish, shrimp, because we're on a pescatarian diet, just to keep ourselves healthy and whatnot. Because when you get our age, you need to be healthy, and that trickles down to your diet and whatnot. So, we bought 57 items, and that came up to almost $300. I'm not kidding you, $300. So, it's just hitting us that I think we're gonna have to move. This unit that we're in right now, it is a 1-bedroom unit, and it was affordable when we first got it about 2 years ago. But now it's to a place where it's been taken over by new management. These people are literally charging for everything. Everything we're being charged for. Water, a water-based fee, sewage-based fee. Then we have our electricity bill, and all those charges that come with that. On top of that, pest control, trash, and then it's like when you log into the payment system to make your payment, the system charges you an additional $50 just to process your payment. So it's coming to a place where it's like, and I'm saying this because as someone who's making way more than the average American, I don't want to live off of credit cards. I think that is the wrong way to live. I think people, if you can use credit cards responsibly, great. But a lot of people cannot. I don't like using credit cards. I think it's a debt trap. I think debt is the biggest killer of wealth. It decreases your ability to generate wealth in your life and to purchase assets. So I refuse to use credit cards to get by or to go on vacations, credit cards to buy clothing and stuff like that, things that I want, desires. I refuse to use credit cards for that. So we're facing the real possibility of just moving to a cheaper area. That comes with a lot of risk, when you think about it, because cheaper areas here in Houston comes with a lot of crime. People are desperate, people are struggling, and I'm scared. Like, I'm nervous about that because I don't want people breaking into our older car. We have an older car that we bought with cash. I think it was like $14,000, and I don't want to deal with people who have nothing to lose. And I hate to say that, I'm not being judgmental, but it's the reality of the situation. Some of us have a lot to lose. Some of us, we went to college, right? We got degrees, but we got degrees to work in specific fields. Like, for example, I work in healthcare. Other people have tech degrees. Excuse me, guys. Just a minute. Other people have tech degrees and whatnot, and they kind of planned out or mapped out their future in terms of, I need to get this specific degree in order to make this amount of money to be able to support myself and my future family or whatnot. So I was very strategic about that when I was 18 or 19 years old, going into my freshman year of college. I needed to make money because I couldn't depend, as queer people, I talk about this all the time, a lot of us don't have the support systems of family, friends, children. We're on our own. So I knew I was always going to be self-sufficient, and I needed to make a good income. So I did college the right way. I did it the right way. It's just coming to a place where I'm seeing a level of poverty around me that is shocking, and it's scary. It's scary. I've never seen, when I go out for my walks to exercise, I've never seen so many people living in the cars, not even back in 2008 when I was 18 during the Great Recession. I've never seen so many people living in their cars, living in tents. When you go to Houston, I was at the club last year with a friend in Houston, and we were walking to the destination. Homeless people everywhere, 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 and it's shocking. It really is shocking. It's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna get worse. The Trump administration just announced that they're gonna start, garnishing wages, Social Security number, Social Security checks and whatnot, retirement plans, whatnot. Whatever you're using to sustain yourself, they're gonna garnish that to help repay back student loan debt that people have defaulted on. Currently, there are 10 million people who are in student loan default. Combine that with the tariffs that are coming, the price increases with these tariffs, because it hasn't hit yet. It's going to come in the future. Combine that with layoffs. Combine that with the high credit card debt balances that many of us are carrying. It is about to be a level of catastrophic disaster we've never seen before in this country. And it's going to be unbelievable. I'm at this point where I'm rushing my husband to finish his degree program because we need to leave this country. I don't see a way to prosper in America anymore. Whether you're gay, straight, queer, black, whatever you are, I don't see a way to do it. The only way to get ahead in this country is to have a remote position somehow, make American dollars, and live in a more affordable country. That is the American dream now. So I'm just rushing to finish that degree so we can go. Not only do you have not only will your dollar stretch further in these more affordable countries, but they also have more opportunities for you to build businesses and to own industries if you want to do that for yourself. So here in America, when you try to start a business or get into an industry, the competition is so fierce and the regulations are so strict that the minute you start to rise up, your competition is immediately looking for ways to stomp you out, to put you out of business. And it's almost like everything has been done. Everything has been conquered here. And I think we all inherently know that those of us who are W-2 employees, those of us that have employers, that we're not being paid our worth. We're not being paid our worth. So if a company is affording, let's say you make $65,000 a year, imagine what your real worth is on the marketplace. Maybe that company should be paying you close to $90,000, but they're paying you $65,000, and as employees, we're just like, okay, whatever. But I think we inherently know that the way to get out of this trap, this financial trap, is to have a business and to own that business and to make that business work for you and your family. And the more that I talk to my husband about this stuff, I'm just starting to realize that the only way to make that happen is to go to Mexico, is to go to South America, or a country in Africa, somewhere else, to make this thing work. And I know people will judge me by having this conversation. For some reason, people feel like I have all this money, I'm rich. I've made incredibly smart investment choices in my life. But with that comes with the responsibility of making sacrifices to ensure you can keep making investment choices, great investment choices. And that means cutting back. That means not relying on credit cards. Every time when I go for my walks around the area that I live in now, which is the upper class area here in the city, there's so many people shopping at the mall. There's so many people, cars parked everywhere around these restaurants, and I can't help but wonder, how are y'all affording this stuff? If I'm making the money I'm making, and I don't do any of those activities, I don't go to the mall, cash out at the mall. I don't go to restaurants. I haven't been to a restaurant in forever. I don't know when the last time me and my husband went out to eat. We prefer to just cook at home because it's healthier for us and it's cheaper. We did go to the movies the other day, which is like, $25? And we hadn't been to the movies in months prior to that, but we don't really go out and do things anymore. And we're okay with that. We're okay with staying at home, and it's still a stretch. It's still a struggle, What landlords are doing is criminal. I will say that as a landlord myself, I don't raise rents on my tenants. I don't raise rents. My obligation in my eyes as a landlord is to make it as comfortable for you as possible, so you feel like you have a great deal living in one of our units, and therefore you'll stay, you'll pay, and you'll gladly pay and stay. So that's my mindset when it comes to being a landlord. But a lot of landlords, a lot of these large corporations don't have that same mindset. So as we see corporations buy up property after property after property, the average person is going to be in a hole because they don't care about your financial situation. All they care about is their bottom line and their profit. So yeah, it's either for us move to Mexico, get my citizenship paperwork from Mexico in order. We're thinking about spending the summer in Mexico so I can get that process finished finally. Or go back to Chicago and live in one of our units and let other people pay for us to live there. I don't know how people are doing it. Like, if I had not gone to college, if I had not gone to college, and I was not smart about my investment choices, smart about my degree, smart about what industry I would go into, or acquired a skill set that would help me make the money I make today. Excuse me, guys, I just had lunch. I would be in trouble. I would be in deep trouble. I'm just so thankful and grateful that I can afford to take care of myself and another individual and have our own place to stay, buy things with cash and stuff like that. I just want to maintain that lifestyle. And as the years go by, it's becoming more and more difficult to maintain that type of lifestyle without taking on debt, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, student loans are coming up. Luckily I'm not in default, but for the 10 million people out there in default, be smart. Be smart these next few months. I recently purchased tickets last, I believe about 2 months ago, to go see Beyonce, Cowboy Carter. People always say, "Oh, how much money you pay for this? How much money you pay?" Bro, I paid $100 for my tickets. 100 for myself, 100 for my husband. That's it. We're not sitting in the great seats like we were in Renaissance. Like, we were very responsible in terms of how much money we spent. Our trip to Argentina, that was paid for way last year. So we had paid for that months and months and months in advance of the actual trip. So we paid for that with cash, like with actual cash. We didn't have to take out credit for that. So that was great. That was great. But what I want to say is, the reason why I want to make this video is I want to encourage everybody to make smart financial decisions, because for inflation to go down, the government has already made it clear people need to stop spending money. What is the only way to get people to stop spending money? Is to have people be unemployed. So that's coming down the pipeline, because borrowing money is expensive. Money is now expensive for companies, right? So the first thing they're going to do is look to lay people off. And combine that with the tariff prices increasing everything that we interact with today. Tariff prices are going to wreak havoc in the economy. Combine that with high medical cost of medical care. Combine that with rent. Combine that with other insurance premiums. It's getting insane. It's getting insane. A lot of people are thinking, well, I'll just buy a house. I'll just buy a house. As someone who's owned a house for many years now, and luckily was able to keep the house throughout the pandemic, I will say this. Owning a house, you do have a more reliable, monthly payment, but your mortgage insurance can go up, which will require you to pay more once it goes up per month. But also, you need to factor in the cost of repairs. So I just had a plumber come out to our unit to help a tenant. And the tenant did not let us know that the problem he was having resolved itself. So the plumber came out and was like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine, but I'm still going to charge you $100 just because I showed up." I'm like, I'm thinking about the tenant. I'm like, "Tenant, why did you not let us know that the problem was now resolved?" I come on my channel. My goal is to help people do well in life, to succeed, and to learn from my mistakes. I still feel like if you're thinking about going to college, it's worth it, because even myself, I'm going back to school. I'm doing that as soon as my husband is done. I'll just do it in a different country, but I'm going back to school. And the reason why is because I know that temporary inconvenience of losing the good salary that I have now will be nothing compared to the money I will make once I graduate. Nothing. I will probably quadruple, more than quadruple my salary later on down the road. So, I feel for the average person. It's time to buckle up. I know Beyonce is selling out, and I keep wondering how is she selling out tickets? How are people affording $4,000 tickets? How are people affording to buy up this and that? I don't get it. How do you think people are affording this stuff? And I'm thinking credit cards, but I'm the type of person, once again, I refuse to live off of credit cards. I just don't want to do it. I'd rather get myself together to buy another house, another property, because I do think a recession is coming. And unlike the last recession when I was 18, I'm now 35. I want to take advantage of this next recession. I hate to say that, because that will require a lot of people to suffer. And I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to take advantage of people suffering. But because God knows what the future holds. Like, God knows what the universe, whoever you guys believe in, knows what the future holds for each and every one of us. But I'm reading up on how to take advantage of real estate during economic downturns, because I feel like my time, or my husband and I time, to expand our real estate company is coming. It's coming. So you guys be smart out here. Be smart out here. If I were you, I would be looking to really strap in and create a budget. Look at where your expenses are. Your expenses are coming from. Look at where your money is going to. Dial back. I was actually thinking about going to Mrs. Tina Matriarch book tour, but I'm thinking, no, I probably will not go. I'm not gonna go, because $80 to see her talk about her book when I can just read it at home. I think I'll just read the audiobook at home for free on Spotify. So a lot of us are cutting back. Even those of us who make good money are struggling. I know I'm rambling, but I just, so much in my mind. Right now where we live at is a very nice neighborhood, and we live in the people around us, a lot of them have subsidized housing, meaning they have housing vouchers and whatnot. I'm noticing something. Number one, every time I go to the trash to take out my trash, the huge trash bin, I see boxes of TVs. Number two, I'm noticing that more and more of these people that I see, or that I feel like, and I could be wrong, that are out on vouchers, they're having more and more children. I'm thinking to myself, how can you afford to have children when here I am, me and my husband are single, and we're struggling? So how are y'all doing this? How can you pop your fifth kid? Like, how are y'all doing this? And the only conclusion I can make is the government. These people, most of the time, it's single women living with other single women, having multiple kids. And it's just like, and once again, I'm not coming down hard on these people. I'm just noticing an observation. I'm making an observation about what's going on around me, how things have changed, and how things are getting scary. 10 million in student loan default. That means you can't get an apartment. That means you can't buy a house. That means you can't get a reliable car loan. You're left with a predatory car loan, 20-30% interest on that car loan. This is going to affect a lot of people. This means you're going to have your wages garnished. This means you're going to have your tax returns garnished. Social Security people who are retired and who still have student loan balances, that means your Social Security is going to be garnished. This is going to get crazy, bro. Like, on the news, I just saw a story where a 63-year-old man robbed the bank. And the way he robbed the bank was so, you could tell he had no experience being a criminal. No experience whatsoever. This dude literally backed up his car with his license plates visible to the camera, security camera. You can see everything. Backed up his car, got out, and wobbled to the bank. Held up that stick to the teller and said, "Give me all the money, or I'm going to delete you." The dude got the bag of money, put it in his pocket, and wobbled back out to his car. And as he drove away, you could see his license plate, clear as day. And I bring that up to point out, that was not a man who was a thief, who was a seasoned bank robber. That was a man who was desperate. This dude was even in his work clothes. Bro, robbing a bank. So if the senior citizens are out here getting desperate, robbing banks, it's going down. And we ain't seen nothing yet. If y'all can, get a passport. If y'all can, try to get a remote job and get the hell up out of this country. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Wolf is back, full pack. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, I just had to get that out of my heart. I know it's random. I know it's doom and gloom, but I have to talk about this stuff, because people who make less money feel like if I only had a little bit more money, then I'll be okay. But that's not true, because those of us who are making very good amounts of money are having to strap up and are shocked by these prices. You know, I could stay in our current situation, but that would mean I can't make good investment choices for the future, and I refuse to be in that situation, right? So I have to make sacrifices. I may have to move, I don't know. But I'm just here to tell you guys and warn you guys, now is not the time to play. Now is not the time to be reckless with y'all's money. Now is not the time to go off at y'all's jobs. Now is not the time to be, harassing people in public, bullying people in public, bullying Walmart employees, fast food workers. Now it's not the time, because people are stressed to the max. To the max. And people will take you out for the littlest thing, because they're dealing with stuff. Everybody's dealing with something that we can't even see, that we know nothing about. Nothing about. You know, we're all just one medical crisis away from financial ruin. One. So yeah, you guys take care of yourselves, your family. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. How are you preparing for this recession? How are you preparing to pay back your student loans? 10 million in default. What are y'all gonna do? Are y'all prepared to have y'all wages garnished? Are y'all prepared to have y'all tax returns garnished? Are y'all prepared to have Social Security garnished? And yet, America voted for this. It's crazy. America voted for this. America voted for this. I can't get it. I can't understand it. The pressure is taking people out of here. What was back will pack. Take care. Peace.
I don't wanna see a nigga bluff, nigga kill, nigga up. Nigga, what's up? Nigga, what's good? You and they can't, I still trap in the hood. Cell phone bang all night, so I'ma get to it all night. Then on the weekends, so they try to catch flights. With another bitch, nigga, really I might. I never stand, nigga, dare, nigga, flap a nigga, rob a nigga, chop a nigga, brother, nigga, tell a nigga, real a nigga, fuck, real a nigga, spill a nigga. I'ma beat a nigga, never feed a nigga, never fear a nigga, never need a nigga, cut a nigga, bust a nigga, can't fuss nigga, what's up, nigga, I'm such nigga.